the child's father really left it up to his mother. They were separated and going through a divorce. Didn't really look into whether or not Jason was up to babysitting this child. As it turns out, Jason was probably less capable of doing this than even many 12-year-olds, and there's a real question as to whether a 12-year-old can be expected to handle this. Jason had such an unusual background. His father had been an American serviceman who had married a Korean woman. And after they married and after Jason was born, she never learned English, and his father never learned Korean. So that Jason grew up in this home where people weren't speaking to each other. And he was really, Laura, Jason appeared to have a subnormal intelligence. Maybe it was a result of growing up in this stone-cold, silent home, but he had real problems.
He did have some developmental problems, and in fact the school recognized those problems and actually asked Jason's father to come in and recommended help for Jason. And it's interesting that at the time that the school recommends help for Jason, that's exactly the same time he starts this very responsible babysitting job. And I think when we listen to the testimony of the baby's father, there was a complete lack of supervision and of interest on the part of that father. This is a person who's taking care of his child on a regular basis, and he hasn't even spent any time with him in the past 6 months. He doesn't know what he's doing with the child.
Now, Laura, looking at it from the point of view of the Sweets, here, well, all of them, everyone involved here was in a disintegrating family. These are people who are doing 2 jobs, and I think maybe Don Sweet even had 3. He had 2 regular jobs, and then he had a job on the weekend. I mean, to make ends meet, people who work for wages like this really have a rough time, and you see statistics about how child care needs are so great. We're seeing it demonstrated here that it can be tragic.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And I think the economic situation in these families forced them into having a kind of child care arrangement that was less than desirable. But when you are a parent, I think you can successfully argue to the judge and successfully argue to a jury that you have a responsibility to your child, and you have to find out who's taking care of your child. And if it's not working out, you need to work something else out.
Well, that's obviously going to be the line that cross-examination will take to just demonstrate that, look, this child was put in a situation where he simply couldn't cope. We'll take a break. We come back and we'll turn to that cross-examination.